The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here he is, Brandon.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brandon Peters Show. As we enter 2026, I know I had an episode drop in 2026, but this is my first recording of 2026 in a series or episode I really wanted to do and had like plans for, then life change and stuff, and I was just going to be the way I do things. I tend to go big. I tend to overdo it. I tend to overwork myself. And I know that's a cool thing. People like when I do it. They encourage me to do it. But I didn't have it in me to do this the way I wanted. 60 years ago, today, the day this episode drops, you may not be listening to it then, January 12th, 1966, believe it or not, was the premiere of Batman, the television show starring Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin, the Cape Crusader, and the Boy Wonder, hit television screens across the United States of America and became a phenomenon and cemented Batman as such a iconic and legendary hero that he was already pretty known for. But yeah, I wanted to do something special for it. I was very excited looking, going, oh, I since this show started, with Old Space Show and things like that I used to maintain, I wanted to touch upon this show that meant a lot to me all throughout my life. As a kid, this was my first experience with Batman, being reruns to now. I had this idea. I'm going to do it the best I can solo and doing kind of what I wanted to. There's Batman behind here with me, of course. I'll have him along. But I had this plan. I was going to have guests giving their thoughts on stuff, and that still may happen. But this episode's going to be just me on the series, and I'm was going to go to the Batman Museum in Logansport, Indiana, which I've already made a trip to. I talked to the owner about shooting and doing some interviewing there, and they graciously agreed, but I didn't have the time and travel to go do it. So alas, that may happen later. Who knows? That may happen. But I was very happy to have that. But it's a cool place. You should go check it out. It's in Logansport, Indiana. Got some replica Batmobiles and things like that. But we're going to talk about this series, and we're going to talk about this in a way that sort of interests me and the way I like. It's sort of a beta test dry run for another podcast show I'd like to start, but I really want to do this with Batman. 1966, January 12th. Hi, Diddle, Riddle was the episode that premiered. But let's go through some things and how did we get here with it. This is, I want to do this more episode specific, but this being the first one, we gotta talk about some things that happened here. This was a show that began its genesis around 1963 or 1964, wanting to be more of a standard superhero show like the George Reeves Superman, and through changing hands, it winds up being produced over with 20th Century Studios, airing on ABC. So some of you, why isn't it on home video and stuff? Why is it just the movie? Some of that has to do with Warner Brothers later owning the rights to DC and the characters, and 20th Century Studios owning the TV show outright. So they decided that they're going to make this show a bit more of a camp thing, very all ages friendly, colorful, and it's a different time then. They had to find their Batman and stuff and get the script. Lorenzo Semple Jr. comes in to write pilot that everybody likes about it. And yeah, they had to go find their Batman. So famously, Adam West and John Jervis Jr. Beat out Lyle Wagner and Peter Dial as Batman and Robin. John Jervis Jr. wasn't the or Burt John Jervis Jr. Wasn't quite the name. Became Burt Ward, stage name we all know. They filled out the cast with a lot of notable film veteran and TV actors to round them out, and they had Commissioner Gordon, and he was played by Neil Hamilton. They created a character named Chief O'Hara, who would later get added to the comic books and given a name Clancy O'Hara. And then, believe it or not, so this is the funny thing. Aunt Harriet, Mrs. Cooper, was in the comics. The comic books, and she's played by Madge Blake, had killed off Alfred and brought in this character, this Dick Grayson's aunt, Mrs. Cooper, and that was in there. But they wanted Alfred in here, so they brought him back to life in the form of Alan Napier, who you've seen in many things, including some Hitchcock films and whatnot. And that rounded out your main cast. There's also a narrator who they auditioned somebody and recorded with but it wasn't liked. So they replaced him with William Dozier, one of the producers of it. Just said, I'll do it myself. So that's kind of who they brought in. They did some against the grain things here. They put the show in color, which if you look at the show, it's beautiful. It's got gorgeous color, pops really well. But at the time, in 1966, when it aired, only 9.7% of U.S. households had color TV. So most people saw this colorful show in black and white. Majority of people in the United States saw it in black and white. And then in the following year, for like season 2, that had gone up to 17.3%. So still not many people got to watch Batman on its first airing in color. So the reruns must have been a real eye popper to them. The show was adding a fourth commercial minute, which was kind of controversial. Like ABC, as we'll get in a sec here, you'll hear about the ratings. They were bottom of the barrel at the time, and they really needed the extra revenue and stuff, and Batman was bringing it in. So that was the thing. I don't think they realized how big of a hit it was going to be, but it was quite the hit. It aired on Wednesday nights on ABC at 7:30. So it wasn't in prime time. It was right before prime time, and led into the Patty Duke show. Batman aired against Lost in Space on CBS. Lost in Space is an hour long. And then The Virginian on NBC, which if you've seen Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you'll remember that DiCaprio's Rick Dalton was shooting a guest spot for The Virginian with Timothy Olyphant in there and Luke Perry. So that's what it was up against. Later in the night on ABC, that followed the primetime lineup that followed Batman, was Blue Light, which starred Robert Goulet, and Big Valley and Long Hot Summer were some of the shows on there. Patty Duke show would get canceled later that year, so Batman no longer lead into that. On Thursday for part 2, so the episodes were in 2 parts. Batman led in for Gidget, which was also canceled later that year, and aired against the Munsters on CBS and Daniel Boone on NBC. And the rest of the primetime lineup for ABC was the double life of Henry Fife, Bewitched, Peyton Place, and The Baron. those came in. The show wound up being a top 10 in the Nielsen ratings for the year when they came out the year-end ratings. The Wednesday episodes were number 5, and Thursday were number 10. So Batman finished twice in the top 10 for the year, and the only shows outperforming it, the four above it, were Bonanza, Gomer Pyle, USMC, The Lucy Show, and The Red Skelton Show. And Batman and Bewitched were the only ABC shows in the top 10 for the year. And then if you expanded it to the top 30, only one more ABC show went in there, and it was the Lawrence Welk Show. That was it for the top 30. Not very good for ABC there. And if you look at the full year, ABC doesn't come in and become a factor till like the very bottom of the list. So very crazy. It premiered during the same television year as Get Smart premiered, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., or Hogan's Heroes, Lost in Space, The Wild Wild West, I Dream of Jeannie, and I Spy. It was definitely the top new show of the year in terms of the ratings. So kudos to Batman. It was a huge phenomenon, but as time goes with Batman, it kind of it got very excited about having a hit, and they kind of oversaturated, and it falls fast. It does not go. Some of you might be wondering, saying 66, where's Star Trek? Well, this Batman premiere, remember, we're in January 12th. It's a mid-season show. Comes in, Star Trek would start in the fall. So yeah, it's a little bit about how the show as a whole performed. Let's take a look at our first episode of 2 that we'll be covering. Hi, Diddle, Riddle, which has it's directed by Robert Butler. So this guy also has a pretty notable career here. There's some things. So he was the director of the Star Trek pilot, The Cage, the Christopher Pike, Captain Pike pilot for the show. He created Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan. He would also launch another superhero show, Superman, 1993's Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. He had come from directing before this popular shows like Bonanza, The Twilight Zone, The Virginian, and The Dick Van Dyke Show. Would later be just a prominent TV director. As I mentioned before, Lorenzo Semple Jr., who also served as script consultant for the first 2 years of the show, wrote this first episode, and later would write films like 3 Days of the Condor, the 1970s King Kong with Jeff Bridges and Charles Grodin, Flash Gordon, that one, and then the James Bond movie Never Say Never Again. The non-Eon, does it count, doesn't it? Probably doesn't, and it's Thunderball remade. James Bond, so he did Batman and Bond. Of course, this wasn't the first live action Batman, should mention, because the Bond thing comes up, because Michael G. Wilson is in the Bond family, the Eon stuff, and he was the son of Lewis Wilson, the very first live action interpretation of Batman from the movie serials from the 40s, which we had Batman and then Batman and Robin, 2 movie serials with 2 different Batmans. So Adam West becomes the third live action Batman, first in color. For this, our special, but credited first out the gate when Batman and Robin go down the bat poles, is Jill St. John as Molly. Jill St. John, very much a television actress, notable for her role a couple years later playing in Sean Connery's another Bond with Sean Connery, but his Eon swan song "Diamonds Are Forever" when he returns to the role in 1971. She was the Bond girl, and if you read the book Some Kind of Hero, the Bond book, it lets you know that Vegas mob influenced her casting in that movie for help with finding spots and location shooting and permits. The special guest villain is Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, who is a very known TV and comedic actor, all over the board. You'll see him later in Star Trek with that black and white, very on the nose type episode about civil rights that they had. You see him in a lot of things, and one of the more last things you'll see him in live action wise, because he did a lot of voice acting, was 12 Monkeys, which I did a commentary for and out now with Aaron and Abe last year. So very cool here, and he is the Riddler. He established that character in such a way that he lifted him off from being like a lower tier villain to a higher one, and really just kind of got things going. He influenced the behavior, and he also didn't like the suit, so he made sure they came up with that bowler hat and traditional suit and tie thing, and that sort of picked up and became a Riddler thing from then on. This story pertains to the Riddler. Sort of, there's a little bit of some fancy stuff going on at this Mondavian exhibit. Nothing happens, but just some pandemonium and a riddle, and then the Riddler sets Batman up to like attack him when he was innocent, and he gets served, and Batman's, oh, is Batman going to have to go to court? And then we find there's a whole lot of wishing around with, he kidnaps Robin, he gets his Molly to well, this comes in part 2, but basically the Riddler's going to go for that Mondavian stuff, and he's, sending riddles around for Batman. But, believe it or not, funny enough, this was actually, a lot of people don't know this about these Batman. If you're a Batman expert and a Batman 66 expert and you're just rolling your eyes at me, there's stuff people don't know generally. But they actually base these off comic books a bit, many of these episodes. And this one was definitely based, it was based off of Batman number 171 called Remarkable Ruse of the Riddler. And here are the things from the comic book that come here. And there might be some you miss. Just a heads up on this thing. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm doing these on my own knowledge, my own watch, my own stat collection, my own interpretation of things. Somebody may have spent more time, may have dedicated to it, and have info. Add it. Comment, respond, add it to it, and maybe I'll be able to make an update later in another episode and give you some credit and stuff. So much appreciated, but I'm trying to do these things on my own, and that's part of the fun of it for me. So things coming from Batman 171 that got used in this episode from my read. The Molehill Mob is there, but Riddler is not with them. He's against them. In the episode, they are with him. There's underground sewer tunnels to travel through Gotham City. That's present. Involves the Riddler tricking Batman into looking like he was committing a crime, but he isn't. This comic book, the Riddler gets out of, it's not Arkham, but it's wherever he was sentenced to. And he is all about getting revenge on Batman, but he's trying to prove to Batman he went straight before pulling the rug out on him. And that includes letting him know the Molehill Gang is, and helping him capture them and stuff like that. The 3 men in a boat and 4 cigarettes riddle, we'll talk about riddles in a little bit, come from this. Invisible ink finding a riddle on a blank sheet. It was on a different thing between the lines in the episode. The portable crime lab features. The Peel Riddle and Art Gallery are featured. The Riddler has a non-riddle that is a twofer that is correct, but intended to be misinterpreted for Batman to go the wrong place. And it's Robin, like the episode, that misinterprets it, and Batman figures it out. So that's what comes from the comic here for the episode, which I thought was quite nifty. So speaking of those riddles, let's go over the riddles. I thought this would be fun. We'll keep track as we go here for the episode because there's a lot of riddles in these episodes. So the first riddle, hi Diddle Riddle. We're going over that episode right now. The first riddle is, why is an orange like a ball? And the answer is because they both must be peeled. Robin solves it, and Batman notes the Peel Art Gallery. So 1 for Robin. Second riddle is, there are 3 men in a boat with 4 cigarettes but no matches. How do they manage to smoke? The answer, they throw 1 cigarette overboard and make it 1 cigarette lighter. And Robin solves that again. That's 2 for Robin. The third riddle, what is a suit no man wants to have, yet no man wants to lose? A lawsuit. Robin solves that one. That's 3 for Robin. Fourth riddle, and then this is in a 24-minute episode. When is the time of a clock like the whistle of a train? When it's 2 to 2. 2, 2, 2. Robin again. Fourth riddle solved by him in 1 episode. The fifth riddle, what has neither flesh, bone, nor nail, yet has 4 fingers and a thumb? A glove. Solved again by Robin. That's 5 solved by Robin. And they combine these last 2 riddles to come up with 222 Glover Avenue. That's Robin. That's kind of 6. The 6th one, why is a quarrel like a bargain? It takes 2 to make it. Like beautiful music, like a dance. Molly does that one. Both questions and answers. So I don't know if we count that or not. But hey, that's what happens. So those are all the riddles for the episode. We have Robin. Robin was 6. Okay. That's where we're at there. He's the riddle solver. He's in a big lead right there. Next, we're going to go to the celeb window cameo. So Batman and Robin will climb up the windows. Someone pop up, talk to him for a bit, usually someone famous. But there is none of that in here. They do climb up, but there's none of that here. Instead, you get the Batusi dance, which is quite famous when Batman goes in there. The gadgets used in the episode. Here we go. This is a laundry list of gadgets that first see. Gadgets are notable things. We get the Bat phone, the Bat poles, the Bat cave, Batmobile, Batarang, a device to burn and cut through the grate. There's a grate on a window and Batman has a gun. I didn't see if there was a title on it. I couldn't tell. I was pausing to try to see these things for you folks. Bat hook, smoke bomb, Bat cuffs, Bat computer, Bat scope, anti-theft activator, the Batostat, and the Bat signal, all featured just in this short episode. Next thing I'm keeping track of, the onomatopoeia fighting words. There's no brawl in this episode, so they have yet to appear in the series. So, but I did note the opening credits featured sock, pow twice, Zock, Biff with 1 F, Bam, Sock. So there was Sock, S-O-C-K, and then there's Sock, S-O-K, all caps with the exclamation point, Blap, Whap, Biff with 2 Fs, and Oof. Those are the onomatopoeia fight words of this episode.
Holy barracuda!
Looking for Robinisms. We have Holy Ashtray. There we go. I thought it was kind of funny. Batman ordered a large fresh orange juice at the bar. That was a funny thing he did. And yeah, so the cliffhanger of this one, Batman is drunk at the wheel and picked up by police. Robin is captured by the Riddler and is going to have his head squeezed. It looks like his head squeezed. You can't tell what's going on. And they say, same bat time, same bat channel. One hint, the worst is yet to come. And that's how we end the inaugural episode of Batman. But wait, it aired twice in the week. So on Thursday night, the conclusion, smack in the middle, came, It once again was directed by Robert Butler, written by Lorenzo Semple Jr. The special guest, once again, credited first, Jill St. John as Molly, and special guest villain Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. The cliffhanger resolve that comes, apparently they were making a face mold of Robin, like a plaster thing, so hooray. The riddles in this episode, the first one is, what kind of pins are used in soup? Terrapins. That's done by Robin. 7 for Robin. The second one, what was Joan of Arc made of? And Batman answers, made of Orleans. So Batman won. 7, Robin 7, Batman 1. And then there's a combo one where Batman comes up with the old turtle mill at Orleans Cove. So Batman's got 2. 7-2. The third riddle of the episode is delivered by Robin. And he answers it. Says, how many sides in is a circle? He said 2, inside and outside. So that is 8 for Robin, 2 for Batman. The fourth is, what president of the United States wore the biggest hat? This is delivered by Robin again. Said, the one with the biggest head. Robin answered. So 9-2. So there's a combo where they come up kind of together with Gotham City. Well, Robin says Gotham City National Bank. 10-2. Now, I don't know if we should strike it, because this is the last one is incorrect. The Gotham City National Bank is not where they're at, and Batman figured it out off screen, corrected it. So we'll give Batman, we're going to go 9 for Robin, 3 for Batman. And then there's one last riddle delivered and answered by Robin. When's a donkey spelled with one letter? When it's you. And so that would be 10-3 Robin on these riddles being solved, and 1 for Molly, whatever the one was in the first one. So over the 2 episodes, that's our riddle count. There is no celeb window cameo in this episode. That is yet to become a thing yet, because people are going to start in the series to draw themselves to Batman. The gadgets in this episode, we have the homing transmitter, detectoscope, emergency bat turn lever, parachute jettison button, bat ray projector, universal drug antidote, bat laser beam, batarang, mobile crime computer, U.S. and Canada crime computer, bat gauge, laser gun, oxygen masks. Those are all used in the second episode. Smack in the middle. So there we go.
Get them, boys. Get them, or it's curtains!
Congrats. We do get a brawl here. This is pretty exciting. Here are the onomatopoeia fight words used in Smack in the Middle. We get crunch, and that's with a K. Zlonk. Clonk. Bam. We get kapow, used twice, and it's 2 different colors when it's used. Ouch. Wham, with 2 M's and 2 exclamation points. Zap, with 3 exclamation points. Irk, with 2 exclamation points. Zock, with 2 exclamation points. Biff, with 2 F's and 3 exclamation points. And zwap, whatever that means. So there's your fighting words for this episode that go together. Maybe we'll do a count of what ones get used the most all the time. So right now, kapow leads Batman, the series, but 1960s series, as a fighting word used with 2 in 1 fight.
Holy showcase!
The Robinisms I caught from this episode. It'll be a cold day in August when we're scared of you, Riddler. Don't you know that crime never pays? Holy smoke! And holy showcase, a sheet of bulletproof glass. So there you go. Notable things picked up in this episode. Batman has an uncle. Robin is kidnapped by the Riddler, and he's in the Batcave. Alfred calls down. He's like, Aunt Harriet's going crazy. Where are you guys at? And he goes, tell Aunt Harriet that Dick and I are staying at my uncle's house. So Batman has an uncle with a house. Molly is killed. She dies in the Batcave. She falls in the nuclear thing in there, and Batman tries to save her, and it really affects him. at the end of the episode. Bruce Wayne's like, I wish I could have done something. But yeah, she dies. It's one of the rare deaths of people in the show. So they start off with raising those stakes. People can die. That's what you like, right? People think that is a reason. That's the only thing that can make stakes happen. So, and then they save the mammoth of Moldavia. So yeah, this episode I think is actually quite fun. It's and clever and really smart, and this show is enjoyable for any age. There's this whole thing with Batman that when I was a kid, I took it seriously. I didn't think it was goofy. This was a show, like, granted, I'm a guy who watches Doctor Who 60s episodes, these sets and stuff, but I took it like an adventure show. This is really, like, this is lore. There's all these things. Like the show, so colorful, good film. Like, I really got into it from a serious aspect. And then, somewhere along the line, someone's like, oh, it was so bad. Oh, I'm a corny, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, I guess that. And then I watched it at one point when I'm older, and I'm like, this is brilliant, like, parody satire. This is funny stuff. Like, it's really, really funny. And that's the magic of this show, is that any age you pick it up, it resonates in a different way. And I don't think, it's a weird thing they were able to make such a good handle on. And I think it's perfect. Like this pilot first episode, like this would be the template, and this is what they would build off of and go on. And I think eventually it runs out of gas pretty fast, but makes for such a fun adventure, a fun show every week. And the ridiculousness is why we love it. Adam West is in a William Shatner category. They have all to their own, where they can do camp like nobody else. Their conviction to the role is amazing. The lines they deliver are, anyone else they screw them up. Like, Adam West saying this dialogue is incredible because he is devoted to it. There's no tongue in cheek. There's and just the way it comes out, and he's got such a good voice for it that it's unreal. And I don't think that man got enough credit. I know he came out, the Bright Knight and stuff, but man, he was brilliant in this role. This is one of a kind. His Batman is special. Looking at you, man. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how smart this performance is, how challenging, and how excellent it is. I think it's overlooked. So, I really, enjoyed this show. Like, everybody's good. It's colorful. It's fun. There's a lot to go off, and the show will grow. So, rather enjoyed it. But that's been 60 years of 60s Batman. I really, really enjoyed that. I'm thinking about continuing this series on Mondays to follow the season along best I can. I don't know if I will be able to keep it up or not, but I had a lot of fun cataloging for this episode. I'm also a reminder, I'm recording for the summer of 1986 of 40, so it's a lot of research itself. And we're going to be having a Val Lewton retrospective with Stephen Warren Hill coming up soon, too. So that's a lot of stuff to keep track of when I want to enjoy watching things as well. So I had a lot of fun with this. I'd like to keep going. Do you want me to keep going? Did you enjoy this by myself doing these episodes? You let me know. But yeah, maybe I'll be here again. Same podcast stream, same YouTube channel. But till then, stay film positive.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail@brandonpetershow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.